All right, today we're putting on our detective hats. We're going to dive into a big pile of data to find hidden groups and secret patterns. And our number one tool for this investigation? It's a really cool algorithm called K-means clustering.
So what's the big mystery we're trying to solve here? Well, imagine you have a mountain of information, but there are no labels, no categories, not a single clue telling you what's what. How in the world do you even start to make sense of all that?
This whole problem, trying to find structure in unlabeled data, it's a huge deal. It's at the very heart of what we call unsupervised learning, and it's one of the most fascinating challenges you'll find in data science.
Think of it this way. Picture yourself standing in a massive library. Thousands of books, but none of them have covers or titles. The only way to sort them is to actually open them up and start grouping them by what's inside, Okay, all the sci-fi goes here, historical fiction over there. That's exactly what we're trying to do with our data. Okay, so how do we tackle this giant unlabeled library? We need a special tool, right? A kind of detective's magnifying glass that helps us spot these hidden similarities automatically. And for us, that tool is K-means clustering.
So what is K-means really? Well, at its heart, it's an algorithm that does one thing, and it does it incredibly well. It takes your data and splits it into a specific number of groups. We call that number K, based on what's similar. It just finds the natural groupings for you.
And the way it works is actually pretty cool and, surprisingly straightforward. First, it just drops K random starting points onto your data. We call those centroids. Then it looks at every single data point and assigns it to whichever centroid is closest. Next, it moves each centroid to the new center of the group it just formed. And that's it. It just repeats those last two steps: assign and move, assign and move, over and over until the groups stop changing.
But there's a catch, a big one. K-means is a brilliant detective, for sure, but it needs you, the lead investigator, to answer one absolutely critical question before it can even get started.
And that question is, how many groups should it look for? What's K? Should it be 2, 5, maybe 20? The algorithm is powerful, but it can't just figure out the right number of patterns on its own. It needs you to tell it. And you've got to get this right. If you pick the wrong K, you can force the algorithm to create groups that don't make any sense at all. You could end up completely missing the real valuable patterns that were hiding in your data all along. So, how do we solve this mystery of K? Well, the good news is we don't have to just guess. We can be real detectives about it and gather clues from the data itself. There are two main techniques we're going to use to zero in on the best possible answer.
Okay, so our two big clues have fancy names: inertia and the silhouette score. Just think of them like this. Inertia is all about compactness, how tightly packed is each group. And for inertia, a lower score is better. The silhouette score is about separation, how far apart are the different groups. For that one, a higher score is what we're looking for.
So, inertia? What is that really? It's basically a measure of how tight your clusters are. Imagine all the points in a group. Are they huddled close together like penguins in a storm? The closer they are to their center, the lower the inertia score. And that's a sign of a good, solid cluster.
Now our second clue, the silhouette score. This one's all about confidence. It's like asking each data point, hey, do you really belong here, or are you kind of close to that other group over there? A high score, especially 1 over 0.5, tells you that your clusters are really well defined and distinct from each other.
All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty and actually solve a case. We're going to put these detective skills to the test on a classic, the famous iris flower dataset. It's a rite of passage in machine learning.
So here's the setup. We've got measurements for 150 flowers. Things like how long their petals are, how wide their sepals are. Now, here's the secret. We know there are 3 different species of iris in this data, but we're going to pretend we don't. The mission is to see if K-means can figure that out all on its own. First up, let's look at the inertia clue. Check this out. When we test going from 2 clusters to 3, bam! The score plummets, a huge drop of almost 83 points. But then, look at the drops from 3 to 4 or 4 to 5. They're way, way smaller.
That sharp bend in the graph is what we call the elbow, and it's practically screaming at us that 3 is the right answer.
Okay, so the inertia clue is pointing hard at k equals 3. But what does our other clue say? Let's check the silhouette score. And look at that, it's a slam dunk. The score hits its absolute peak right at k equals 3. It confirms exactly what we were already suspecting.
Okay, let's recap the evidence. Clue number 1, inertia, gives us a clear elbow at 3. Clue number 2, the silhouette score, peaks at 3. I mean, it's an open and shut case. Both of our independent clues are pointing to the exact same suspect. The answer is 3.
And that peak score of 0.55, that's not just a number. That's a really solid score. Remember, anything over 0.5 is considered a strong result. It tells us our groups aren't just random blobs, they're tight, they're distinct. We can be really confident about this. All right, so we've done the work, we've gathered the clues, and we've told our detective to look for 3 suspects, 3 clusters. So, what did it find? This is the big reveal.
So the algorithm goes to work, and it splits everything into 3 beautiful, distinct groups. Each group is nice and tight and well separated from the others. But here's the incredible part. When we take those secret labels we were hiding, the actual flower species, and lay them on top, it's a perfect match. Absolutely perfect.
I mean, let that sink in for a second. We never told it about flower species. We never gave it a single hint. It just looked at the raw numbers, the petal lengths, the sepal widths, and it figured out biology all by itself. It rediscovered the 3 species from scratch.
And that just leaves you with this one huge question, right? If an algorithm can do this, if it can literally rediscover a piece of the natural world on its own, what else is out there? What other hidden structures are just sitting in all the data around us, in finance, in medicine, in everything, just waiting for an unsupervised detective to come and find